This episode is part of an ongoing story. If you're new here, you might want to start with episode 1. And now, the story continues.
Lee had asked Emma to meet him and his buddies at Drip late Sunday afternoon. They planned to have coffee and then move to the theater room and rehearse on the practice stage. Since no classes met on the weekends, he'd cleared it with Mr. Barton for them to use the space. He met her as she came through the door and asked what she wanted to drink. "You don't have to buy my coffee," she said. "I owe you one, though, remember?" He referred to the day Kira emptied her cup on Emma's shirt. She asked for a pumpkin spice latte, and he led her to the table where Chris and another man sat. "Hey, gorgeous," Chris said. He got up to hug her and began to lead her toward a chair near his when Lee interrupted. "Here, Emma," he said. He pulled out a chair for her next to him. "This is Gary." He motioned toward the shy-looking guy with unkempt brown hair and glasses. "We work together." The barista called out Emma's name, and Lee stepped away to retrieve her order. While waiting, she asked Gary some usual get-to-know-you questions. He answered politely and then said, "Congrats on your project getting picked." Lee's arm appeared over her shoulder, placing the coffee in front of her. "Still have to perfect the ending. Emma had an idea that might work. You guys can tell us if you have time to watch." After they talked for a while, Emma excused herself to the ladies' room. When she came back, everyone had changed seats. Her coffee waited for her next to Chris, and Gary sat beside Lee. Someone had pulled an extra chair to the end of the table. As she sat down, the reason for the musical chairs act presented itself in the form of Kira coming towards them. Chris put an arm around her and whispered in her ear, "Lee just doesn't want her starting shit for no reason." Fighting the nerves, Emma greeted Kira with a pleasant hello. Then she leaned into Chris's embrace. Chris smirked at Lee, who shot him an angry look. "Hey," Kira said. While Kira asked Lee about his plans for the day, Emma turned to Chris. "I think she forgot my name," she murmured, provoking him to snicker. His laugh set off a chain reaction in her to giggle along with him. She kept her face toward his, trying to hide their inappropriate conversation. "Shh," she said. "You're making it worse." She cleared her throat and straightened up, catching Lee's stone-faced reaction to their hysterics. "When did you two become so friendly?" Kira asked. "Last night," Chris said, causing another uproar within Emma. She slapped his shoulder and got up from her chair. "He's just kidding," she said to Kira. "We're not trying to be rude, I apologize. He just got me tickled. I'm going to get some air." Chris followed her outside, still cackling. "Lee is going to murder us." "I don't give a shit. He doesn't get to say what we do." Kira and Lee walked outside, quieting them again, and Lee told them he'd be back after walking Kira to her car. Chris joined Gary inside while Emma waited for Lee, who returned, fuming. "What the hell was all that?" he asked. "I'm sorry, we just got stirred up. I apologized." "Yeah, and then you came out here and kept it up with your new best buddy, Chris." His anger annoyed her. "Lee, you do not get to be jealous about anything I do." "I'm not. I'm just wondering why, when I finally got her to be nice to you, you acted like a jerk to her." Feeling as though he'd stabbed her, she bit back at him. "She forgot my name. That's why we laughed." "And you know why I'm uncomfortable around her." Lee raised his hands in defense. "Emma, I didn't know she was coming over here. She texted me while you were in the bathroom." Completely ignoring his response, she held up a finger. "And don't tell me you really thought I slept with Chris. Frankly, I'm sick of you thinking I'm a slut because of what happened with you. Believe me, I regret it." She turned on her heel and stomped back to the table without giving him a chance to respond. Trying to sound chipper to the guys at the table, she asked, "Everybody ready?" Lee remained outside, looking wounded. Grabbing his half-full cup of coffee, Emma thrust it at him on the way out. She snubbed him on the walk to the classroom, speaking only to Chris and Gary. Trying to lighten the mood, she said, "Thank you guys for watching. I know it's probably boring." "Watching you is never boring," Chris said. "Haha, ever the flirt," she said. When they got to the auditorium, she ascended the stairs quickly and plopped her belongings down to the side of the practice stage. Still defiant, she whirled around to Lee, who slowly approached her. "Where should we start?" she asked. Lee took her hand and urged her toward him. "How about with 'I'm sorry'?" he asked. He always knew how to melt her fury. She could be livid with him one second and the next want to console him. "I apologized," she said. "I know. I didn't mean to be so inconsiderate." "Well, she did forget your name." Emma smiled. She did. They ran through the lines and worked with the ending kiss again, finally feeling that they'd nailed the scene. Gary had to leave for work, and Lee wouldn't be far behind him. "Emma, if you're free tonight, have dinner with me," Chris said. "Okay, sure," she said. Lee suggested that they meet at Luigi's. "If you guys want to come to the restaurant, I'll give you my discount. Plus, we can still hang out." The first thought that crossed Emma's mind involved Lee wanting to keep a close eye on them. Why did she always assume Lee felt jealous? He didn't seem to disapprove of her plans to have dinner with Chris. Perhaps the fight had something to do with it, but everything had been settled. She agreed to meet Chris there at 8 and left to get changed. Gary greeted Emma as she entered the restaurant. He led her to a small booth covered in dark green vinyl near the back of the dining area. Taking her drink order, he dashed away. She spent the time studying every blemish on the wooden tabletop while a symphony of clinking dishes played around her. She'd chosen to wear a casual long-sleeve black dress paired with strappy heels. Fiddling with the hoop earring in one ear, she relished the savory aroma of garlic bread drifting over from trays the waitstaff carried. When her lemon water appeared in front of her, she looked up expecting to see Gary. Lee's bleak half-smile greeted her instead. "You still mad at me?" she asked. "Not at all." "Then why do you look so glum?" Someone called him, and he told her he'd be back soon without finishing his sentence. Chris showed up looking dapper in tan slacks and a white polo. They greeted one another, and he told her to order whatever she wanted. "Seeing as how you don't want to impress me, at least I won't feel guilty about being the only one eating," he said. In the next room, a live band played instrumental music. Emma hummed along while she looked through the menu. When they placed their orders, Chris bumped Lee's arm. "She sings too. Have you heard her?" "Yep." Astounded, Emma questioned when that could have happened. Lee looked pleased with her confusion and left again to put in their orders. "You know you smile at him every time he walks by," Chris said. "I do not." "Yeah, you do. You have a thing for him, don't you?" Emma averted her eyes to the table. "No, he's got Kira, we're just friends." "Okay, then come dance with me," he said. He led her to the room where the band played. Holding her at a polite dancing distance, he twirled her around the compact dance floor. "And there he is," said Chris. "Taking a break, big dog?" She turned around just as Lee untied his apron and set it on an empty table. Then he sat in a chair and watched her dance with Chris. When the song ended, Chris said, "Here, I know you're going to take her from me." Within seconds, Emma had changed partners. Lee drew her close with no regard to etiquette. "Well, hi," she said. "Having fun with Chris?" "Yeah, he's a gentleman." "Good," he said. "You know you sing in the shower, right?" "Oh, that's where you heard me." "Wait, was that why you stared at me?" Lee looked off into the distance as though he was remembering that moment. "Pfft, no. I stared at you because you're beautiful, and you let me." Emma tucked her face into his neck to hide the redness that surely flushed her cheeks. "Did I embarrass you?" he asked. "I'm just kind of surprised you think I'm beautiful." "I would have thought that's obvious." "Not really. I mean, the way guys talk, a woman doesn't have to be stunning for them to want to bang her. So, sexual attraction isn't the best indicator of how pretty he thinks she is overall." Lee thought on what she'd said. "Okay, I'll give you that, but why surprised?" "Because you have Kira. She's like a beauty queen. I had a bruised elbow and a burned stomach. I don't know why you—" She intended to say wanted me, but her voice trailed off. "What the hell are you talking about?" he asked. Though his words sounded harsh, his tone conveyed genuine confusion. "I don't know." She pulled him tighter and pressed her cheek against his to avoid eye contact. He stiffened up and sighed. "I didn't mean to irritate you," she said. "You didn't, it's just, you're sweet to everybody," he said. "Your smile lights up your entire face." He leaned back, forcing her to look at him, and placed a finger on her top lip. You have a perfect V right here, and when you get mad, your eyes flare and sparkle. It makes me want to make you mad on purpose." Emma couldn't help but chuckle. He stopped dancing and clutched her shoulders. "You are beautiful, Emma." Not knowing quite how to respond, she said, "Thank you." No one had ever taken the time to point out specific things about her before. She'd received compliments, but his way of letting her know he saw more than her body blew her away. He resumed dancing. "I guess I thought you knew that the way you show it all off. That's just with you, or was with you. I mean, I'm not shy or anything, I'm just usually not so brazen." They danced silently for the next few minutes, until Lee brought up the conversation again. "Why just me?" Emma sighed. "Why do you make me tell you things?" "'Cause I can, and it's fun." Emma took a deep breath and then answered him. "I didn't feel judged, so I had no reason to be anxious." Lee gave no response, so she continued. "Have you ever spent time around someone who rubs you the wrong way? Like, even you hate you when you're hanging out with them because they inadvertently push you to say things or act certain ways that you're not proud of." "Yeah, I think I know what you mean." "And then there's the opposite. People that bring out the best in you. I can be myself around you and like the person I am." God, that probably sounded dumb. "No, it was flattering. I just hate being something you regret." With this comment, his somber mood when she arrived finally made sense. "Lee, I said that in anger. That night, well, you were there. Do you regret it?" "Only if it upset you." "It didn't. I'll always remember it fondly." He let out a slow breath of relief over her shoulder. They finished the dance, and the band stepped down. Emma clapped for them as the sound system overhead kicked on with a beautiful piano intro. "Don't go," Lee said. "I still have a few more minutes." "You don't want to sit? You've been on your feet for hours." She assumed that once the dance ended, they'd chat with Chris, who'd been scrolling through his phone at the table with Lee's apron on it. Lee shook his head, and she returned to her spot in his arms. The twangy voice of Garth Brooks spilled into the room singing "To Make You Feel My Love." The manner between them shifted as they swayed together silently. The weighty lyrics Emma had heard so many times prodded her. Her throat went dry after the line about holding the one you love for 1,000,000 years. She once again thought about the night Lee had cradled her while they slept, and when he didn't want to let her go after his nightmare. Even as they danced, his embrace felt like home. Emotions she denied over and over bubbled to the surface, and she found herself unable to fight them again. She listened with watery eyes as Garth described a man putting himself aside to make everything right for the person he cherished. Her mind swirled in a montage of Lee's hero moments, from handing her a towel and a fresh shirt to showing up unexpectedly to take care of her when she fell ill. Before the song ended, she pushed him away and thanked him for the dance as cheerfully as possible. Excusing herself to the ladies' room, where she took advantage of the chance to breathe. They'd said too much, and all the words finally caught up with her. She considered leaving but didn't want to set off an alarm for Chris. She'd have to put on a performance to get through dinner. Lee had brought their meals when she returned to the dining table. Emma enjoyed Chris's company, deliberately keeping her attention on him when Lee came by. She practiced her best sunny voice each time she told him they needed nothing, and the meal tasted delicious. They stayed till the restaurant had nearly closed, and Lee asked them to join him out for drinks. "I have work early in the morning, so I need to go," Emma said. She thanked Chris for the dinner and kissed his cheek. To Lee, she only said, "See ya." "Wait, let me walk you out," he said. "That's not necessary," she said, hurrying toward the door. Lee called out to someone that he'd be right back and followed her anyway. He caught up to her when she reached her car. "Whoa, stop," he said. "What's the matter?" Dodging his eyes, she thought about how to answer him. "Why won't you look at me, Emma?" Hearing his worried tone, she didn't want to drag out a long guessing game where she didn't say what bothered her, and he got flustered from having to speculate. She'd before giving an answer. "Chris said I smiled at you every time you walked by." With narrowed brows, he said, "Well, Chris wants to get in your pants, so he'll say whatever he can to get to you." "He's not the problem." "Then what is?" Eyes back on the ground, she surprised herself by answering, "I'm in love with you." When he said nothing, She shocked them both by saying, "I have to quit the show."
Thanks for listening to What Happens Between the Scenes. You can find this story and future episodes on YouTube by searching Laura Purple Butterfly. You can also find our podcast wherever you get your podcasts by searching the Purple Butterfly Archives.